Okay, strap yourselves in, because today we are going deep on Neil Stephenson's Seveneves.
Oh, yeah.
I've got pages and pages of notes here.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, this book is a wild ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the ultimate what-if scenario.
Yeah.
What if the moon just blew up?
Yeah.
I mean, just gone.
Who?
And Stephenson doesn't waste any time with explanations.
No.
It just happens.
It does.
Boom.
Just straight into it.
And humanity is suddenly facing extinction.
Yep.
All starting with this one astronomer's terrifying prediction.
Right. Dr. Dubois Harris.
Dubois Harris, yeah. So he figures out that the moon breaking apart,
Yeah.
it's not just some cosmic light show.
Yeah, no.
It's going to trigger this thing he calls the hard rain.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of poetic, but
it's not.
not at all.
No.
What we're talking about is Earth getting pummeled by this constant meteor shower.
Constant.
For thousands of years.
Thousands of years.
Moon fragments raining down, heating everything up.
Okay.
Oceans boiling away.
It's all bad.
Not a good time to be alive.
No.
So the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
701 days until this all goes down.
TikTok.
And world leaders are scrambling.
Total pandemonium.
Trying to come up with a plan.
Yeah.
And that's where the Cloud Ark project comes in.
Yeah. The Cloud Ark.
I mean, try to imagine building a giant space station.
In under 2 years.
Yeah.
While everything's falling apart.
It's humanity's last hope.
Yeah.
So you've got this massive swarm of arklets.
Yeah, think escape pods, but way more advanced.
Right.
Yeah.
All orbiting Earth, tethered to this iron asteroid.
Amalthea.
Amalthea, right?
Yeah, and get this, the International Space Station.
The ISS, wow.
The ISS.
It really makes you wonder,
Yeah.
like, did NASA ever actually have a plan for something like this?
I don't know about that.
Even just on a smaller scale.
Right.
A break glass in case of moon explosion protocol.
Maybe tucked away somewhere.
Maybe.
Right.
That's a question for the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, you're probably right. But in the book, they managed to get this thing built.
Yeah.
They launch it, but only 1,500 people make it aboard.
1,500, that's it.
Out of billions.
Wow.
Before the hard rain hits.
Imagine trying to choose who gets a seat on that ark.
Oh, impossible.
I mean, how do you prioritize?
Yeah.
Scientists, engineers, artists.
I mean, who's more important?
Right. And what about families?
Oh, yeah.
Do you keep them together or focus on specific skills?
The decisions.
It's just terrifying to even think about.
It's really a thought experiment, isn't it?
Totally.
Stevenson really gets into the human element of this,
Got it.
It's not just about the science.
Yeah.
It's about the choices people make under this incredible pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of pressure,
What?
let's talk about what happens when the hard rain actually starts.
Oh,
The book doesn't paint a pretty picture, does it?
No. Bleak is an understatement, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, Stevenson doesn't shy away from the apocalyptic imagery.
Yeah.
Earth is just a scorched wasteland. It's a good reminder about how fragile we are.
Yeah.
How quickly things can change.
Yeah, for sure. A sobering thought. But even with Earth, turning to a cosmic frying pan,
Right.
the drama's not over.
Oh, no.
There's conflict up in the Cloud Ark itself.
Yes.
Something about factions and power struggles.
So remember Julia Bliss-Flaherty,
The U.S. president.
the U.S. president?
Yeah.
She believes in a decentralized approach to survival.
Right.
Leads a group that breaks away from the ISS
What?
to form the Swarm,
Basically going rogue.
which seems incredibly risky considering the circumstances.
It is, yeah.
Wouldn't that make it harder to share resources and knowledge?
What? Yeah.
Even if it's about giving more autonomy to different groups?
Yeah, it's a gamble.
Yeah.
And those who stay on the ISS, which they rename Endurance, they're facing their own set of challenges.
What?
Dwindling resources, radiation, and,
Oh, no.
well, let's just say desperation leads to some dark places.
I can imagine.
So from what I've read, it gets even worse before it gets better.
It does.
Only a handful of people actually survive to reach the cleft.
The cleft. Yeah.
So the cleft, it's this safe haven on the exposed iron core of the moon.
That's right.
And it's here the story takes a really dramatic turn.
It does.
Only 8 women make it.
8 women.
And they become the progenitors of this new human race.
Yeah.
The Seveneves.
The Seveneves.
Okay, so we've got Dinah, Ivy, Aida, Tekla,
Camilla.
Moira, and Julia.
Moira Julia. Okay.
Each one representing different skills and aspects of humanity.
And their personalities and backgrounds
Yes.
influence the choices they make for their descendants,
They do.
essentially shaping the future of humankind.
Absolutely.
And one of these Eves, Moira, she's a geneticist.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got access to some incredible technology,
That's right.
which allows her to facilitate repopulation through parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis, yeah.
Okay, for those of us who aren't geneticists, break that down for me. Okay, so it's a form of asexual reproduction.
Interesting.
She can basically allow each of the 7 Eves to have daughters
Wow.
without needing male partners.
Wow.
So they can repopulate but also make choices about the genetic makeup of their offspring.
Wow.
It's huge.
So they're not just mothers, they're designing the future of the human race.
Oh, right.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
Each of their decisions reflecting their hopes and fears for this new world.
Absolutely.
And that leads us to the next stage of the story.
5,000 years in the future
Yeah.
to see what becomes of this new society.
Okay, but before we get there,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, the listener, to think about this.
Yeah.
If you were in those 8 women's shoes,
Yeah.
facing the task of rebuilding humanity,
Right.
what kind of future would you envision?
What would you prioritize?
What values, what principles,
Yeah.
what aspects of our current world would you try to preserve?
Yeah, what would you let go of?
These are big questions.
They are.
But that's what makes Seveneves so captivating.
Yeah, thought-provoking.
And thought-provoking, absolutely.
So hold on to those thoughts.
Yeah.
As we jump thousands of years into the future
Okay.
to explore the incredible world Stephenson builds in part 2 of Seveneves.
All right. Looking forward to it. All right, we're back, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of this.
I know, it's a lot.
From a moon explosion to 8 women carrying the weight of humanity on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to jump 5,000 years into the future.
Fast forward.
Yeah, to see what became of their descendants.
Get ready for a wild ride.
I bet.
A whole new vision of humanity.
Okay.
3 billion people living in a vast ring of habitats.
Wow, so they made it work.
They did orbiting Earth.
A testament to human resilience.
It is.
But I'm guessing it's not all sunshine and roses?
No, not exactly.
Stevenson doesn't really do utopia, does he?
No, he likes to explore the complexities.
Yeah, I mean, rebuilding society from scratch.
Yeah.
Especially with the legacy of the Seveneves.
Right. Each Eve chose to genetically modify her offspring.
Right.
And those choices have had a huge impact.
Okay, so break it down for me.
Okay.
7 races,
Mm-hmm.
all descended from these 7 women. What are they like?
Well, let's start with the Deasons.
Okay.
Descended from Dinah, the robotics engineer,
Right.
they inherited her leadership qualities.
Interesting.
Courage, decisiveness, problem solving.
Okay, so they're like the natural leaders of this new world.
You could say that.
It's like each race represents a different aspect of being human.
Exactly.
That's fat.
And then you've got the Ivans.
The Ivans.
Ascended from Ivy, the astronaut.
Right.
The intellectuals, the scholars.
Okay.
Always pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
I can see them being like the scientists and researchers.
Absolutely. Always asking questions.
Seeking answers.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got leaders and thinkers.
Then there's the Teclans.
The Teclans. Okay.
Descended from Tekla, the cosmonaut.
Right.
Incredibly disciplined, physically capable.
Okay, like warriors or athletes.
You got it.
Wow. It's really interesting how he wove those personality traits into entire races.
It is, isn't it?
So we've got leaders, thinkers, warriors.
Or else do we need?
What about the other races?
Well, you've got the Kamites, known for their compassion,
Compassion, okay.
peacefulness, diplomats, healers.
So they value harmony and cooperation.
Yeah, essentially the glue holding this diverse society together.
They must play a crucial role then,
They do.
especially with all these different groups.
Oh, yeah,
Potential for friction there.
absolutely.
And what about, the Moirans?
No more.
They were descended from Moira the geneticist, right?
That's right.
So I'm guessing they're pretty adaptable.
Incredibly adaptable.
Makes sense.
Thrive in a wide range of environments.
And resilient.
Ultimate survivors.
So each race has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me wonder,
What?
are there any tensions between them?
Oh, there are definitely challenges.
Like what?
Well, remember Aida?
The leader of the swarm.
Yeah, her descendants, the Idans. They're
Yeah.
actually divided into several subraces, each designed to counter the strengths of the other Eve's lineages.
Wow, she was playing a long game.
She was.
Even from beyond the grave.
Strategic thinking at its finest.
Wanted to ensure her descendants would not only survive, but thrive.
Exactly.
Even if it meant creating some tension.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
It is. And all of this is happening against the backdrop of this incredibly complex society.
That's right.
Different races, cultures, ideologies, all interacting.
Sometimes clashing.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how they even govern themselves.
Right.
Is there like a central authority or?
Well, the space habitats are divided into two main factions,
Okay.
the red and the blue.
The red and the blue.
Think of it like a Cold War.
Oh, wow.
Each state with its own political system, values, goals.
A constant struggle for influence and resources.
Exactly.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
The potential for conflict is always there.
I bet. With so much at stake,
Yeah.
any disagreement could escalate.
It could.
But they're managing to keep the peace.
For now.
But remember how we talked about how everyone thought life on Earth was gone?
Right.
Wiped out by the hard rain?
Completely obliterated.
Are you telling me
What?
there are other survivors?
There are.
Besides the descendants of the Seveneves?
Yes.
That changes everything.
It does.
So while everyone was up in space,
Yeah.
rebuilding,
There were people down on Earth.
clinging to life.
That's right.
This is blowing my mind.
Wow.
What are they like?
Well, Stephenson introduces us to the diggers.
The diggers.
And the pingers.
The pingers.
Humans who survived in deep underground shelters. And
Underground.
underwater caverns.
Wow.
Adapted to this completely transformed Earth.
So the space dwellers weren't the sole inheritors of Earth's legacy after all.
No.
This is huge.
It is a game changer.
How do these different branches of humanity react to each other?
That's the question, isn't it?
Is there conflict?
Do they find a way to coexist?
I need to know what happens next.
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
I bet. But we're going to have to pause our deep dive here for now.
Don't worry.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
We'll be back.
Stephenson has created such a rich and complex world.
He has.
And I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
And you, the listener, have a lot to think about, too.
I bet.
What do you think this discovery means for humanity?
Will these different groups find common ground?
Or will their differences lead to conflict?
So many questions.
We'll be back soon to tackle them head on.
In the final part of our deep dive into Seveneves. All right, we're back for the final part of our Seveneves deep dive. And wow, there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, we left off on a pretty big cliffhanger.
We did. Humans thriving in space. Descendants of the Seveneves.
A whole new society.
But now we know they're not alone.
Right, the diggers and the pingers.
Down on Earth, they survived the hard rain somehow.
Against all odds.
That really changes the whole story, doesn't it?
It completely reframes their history.
They thought they were the only ones.
The sole survivors.
And suddenly their history feels, I don't know.
Incomplete.
Yeah, incomplete.
Fragile almost.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, what kind of world did they create down there?
Right. What do they value?
What do they believe in?
What would it be like to meet them?
After 5,000 years, can you imagine?
Just mind-blowing.
It really is, and that's where Stephenson is so good.
Yeah.
He doesn't give us all the answers.
He leaves room for our own imagination.
To ponder the possibilities.
What would first contact look like?
Right. Would it be peaceful?
Would there be fear?
Suspicion?
Conflict?
And how would they even begin to bridge that gap?
5,000 years of separate evolution.
Different technologies, cultures.
Different understandings of the world.
It's like meeting visitors from another planet.
But they're not aliens.
No.
Or human.
Sharing the same ancestry, the same planet.
That has to count for something.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But let's not forget the political situation.
Right. The red and the blue states.
Locked in this Cold War.
How would the discovery of Earth survivors impact that?
It could change everything.
Imagine the power plays, the scramble for alliances.
The Earth survivors could become pawns in this interstellar chess match.
Whether they want to be or not.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
On one hand, you have the potential for collaboration.
Sharing knowledge, technology.
The diggers and pingers know how to survive on a resource-scarce planet.
Something the space dwellers could learn from.
And the space dwellers have technology that could help rebuild Earth.
Maybe even heal the planet.
But on the other hand, there's also the potential for conflict.
For exploitation.
Over resources.
Could the space dwellers become a threat to the Earth survivors?
It's a scary thought. But Stephenson doesn't shy away from those darker possibilities.
No, he doesn't.
But at its heart, Seveneves is a story about hope.
About resilience.
The human spirit.
It's not a simple good versus evil story.
No, it's more nuanced than that.
It's about human nature.
The choices we make when faced with incredible challenges.
And it leaves us with so much to think about.
It really does.
What does it mean to be human in a post-apocalyptic world?
What values do we want to pass on?
What kind of future are we building?
Big questions.
Questions we all have to face.
Not just in science fiction, but in our own lives.
In the choices we make every day.
So here's a final thought for you, listener.
Okay.
We've learned about the diggers and the pingers.
Right.
But what if there are other survivors out there.
Other groups hidden away.
In remote corners of the world.
With their own stories.
And if we encounter them, what then?
What will that mean for humanity?
For us.
It's a question Stephenson leaves open.
You imagine the possibilities.
The consequences.
Maybe even find some answers within ourselves.
And that's where we'll wrap up our Seveneves deep dive.
This book is a journey.
Through space and time.
A story about resilience and the human spirit.
It'll stay with you.
If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it.
But be warned.
It'll make you think.
It'll make you question.
It'll make you dream.
Thanks for joining us on this epic exploration.
And until next time, keep diving deep.